It has been almost 19 days since I sat in front of this sat at this desk in front of this camera and actually played some games with you guys. But guys, I am back. Welcome here to my channel. My name's Robbie, or Friar Roby, as some people might know me as. And welcome back to my stream. I have been away on vacation for the past week and a half, give or take. I missed 4 streams, which is, it was nice to take a little bit of a break and not have to worry about some things like this. But I am certainly back, and I hope you guys are ready, because I have some really good stuff I want to share with you guys. Stuff that happened on that vacation. Stuff I really want to work on. I got some really good ideas while I was away. I wanted to implement them into the game here. So, what am I going to do? You guys are just probably on the edge of your seat waiting for me. What are we going to do in here? And I'm going to reveal it to you right now. We're building the bus stations. And right away. Hold on. Let me play that again. Hold on. There we go. Official Raw Style Nation. Thank you for the follow there. I do appreciate it. And speaking of followers, I don't know if I just miscalculated or if I don't remember the exact number I had, but if I'm not mistaken, with that follow, I think we're up to 45 now. I thought we were like closer to needing like 10 more, but apparently we only need about 5 more now. That's crazy. Now, if you guys remember, before I actually left, I did say if we hit 50, I would do like a special fireworks display and kind of actually do a whole stream on how to do that. I've never done one of those before. And then maybe even come up with a name for the followers. So that's still a goal. It's still on the table. It's all there. But you may be wondering, why in the world am I going to build bus stations on Planet Coaster today? Well, I'll tell you why. Because I had some interesting bus stories I want to tell, and I figured this might be the best way to actually kind of describe them. And so I figured, this is really kind of a plain part of the park here. So I'm going to go ahead and actually redo this. So I'm going to go ahead and start and deleting the buses themselves. I'll probably leave the concrete there. I'm going to actually delete the stations and stuff in the shelters, because I have a feeling that's probably not going to stay here for very much longer. And there we go. So now we have a nice clean concrete patch here and a little bit of terrain work we're going to have to do. But the reason I wanted to talk to you about buses today is I had a few bus stories that were maybe not the best in the world. So some of you may know, some of you may not. I actually visited Walt Disney World last week. Got to go down, spend quite a few days down there. And in that time, I actually bounced around from quite a few different hotels. Just trying to, one of my goals, I'd love to try to visit stay at every Walt Disney World hotel at least once. And if I'm not mistaken, there is, I think, 26 listed on their sites, and I'm up to 16, I believe? Maybe 17? So, we're getting kind of close. So what I want to do first, guys, while I tell these stories, I'm going to go ahead and actually bump this out to here and kind of make a little bit bigger area for some bigger shelters and things like that for our buses. Or I think I want to do that. I have another idea, though, but I'm going to wait on that for just a moment. So here, I wanted to tell you a couple of the stories that I had riding to the buses trying to get around Disney. Now, the first couple of days I was down there, I didn't have any theme park tickets. We were actually supposed to go on the cruise, but unfortunately it was canceled. So we had to just kind of hang out around Disney, and we spent a lot of time at Disney Springs. And on my way back one night, I had split up from everybody, so I was by myself. I was the only one actually in the... Oh, hold on, I'm trying to think. There's a couple different stories that happened at Disney Springs, which is kind of funny. But I was standing, or I might have been second in line. Whatever, there was not very many people around. And, I was waiting for the bus, maybe about 5 or so minutes right at this point. And, I didn't really think anything of it. Usually they say buses run about every 20 minutes, so I'm not too concerned. And I've been sitting there for about 5 or 10 minutes, and the relief driver comes up. So Disney Springs is a very popular place where they actually change bus drivers out and things like that. So bus driver came up and started talking to the person in front of me. Said, hey, the bus will probably be here in probably about 10 minutes. Cool, great, no big deal. Well, that 10 minutes comes and goes, and 15 minutes comes and goes, and bus still isn't there. Well, actually, the bus driver walked away to try to look for the bus to see if maybe they had gotten there already, and they had parked the bus or whatever. And so it was, he was just kind of confused as well. And it got to the point where another bus driver who was actually supposed to relieve the first bus driver came up and said, hey, I'm here to relieve you. But he never got on his original bus. So probably about 10 minutes after that, at this point I've been waiting for about 40 minutes on this bus. Finally the bus shows up. Why? I don't know. I'm trying to remember where I was going back to. I don't remember. I want to say I might have been going back to Animal Kingdom Lodge at that point. That's where I say most of the vacation, but it was hilarious. They were trying to look for one bus for probably a good 40 minutes, and I'm just standing there in 80-degree weather. It was getting towards night, so it might be a little bit cooler than that, but it was still hot, and it's like, all right, well, this is not going to end well if the bus drivers can't find the bus. But a couple things like that happened. Waiting for a couple buses. I know trying to get to Hollywood Studios one day, there was probably a good 60 people in line to get on one bus, and I'm pretty sure about 7 buses, or like what happened was, first bus showed up and like there was no way anybody was gonna on, or everybody was gonna on this with all the social distancing going on, especially with Disney. They do a really good job with it, and I'm glad about that. But with all the social distancing, they might be able to put at max maybe 30 people on a bus, if that, maybe even less than that. So you're trying to cram 60 or 70 people. And there was a couple arguments with the people there, but they actually had quite a few buses show up not too long afterwards. That we got everybody onto the bus and off to I keep wanting to call it an MGM Studios because that's what I remember it as, but it was actually Hollywood Studios. So yeah, that was kind of fun. But yeah, no, there was quite a few stories like that came out. I was like, all right, this is kind of funny and stuff like that. So here's kind of my goal. So you notice I disconnected this road here. I do want to make this bus station a little bit bigger. I really just pretty much want to bring the concrete straight out here. And I don't know if I'm going to do a loop. I thought about actually bringing this all the way down to here and doing a nice big loop around. Kind of like how Disney does. They actually have a couple bus stations around the outside here. I still might, because I'm kind of in that mood where I want to build something kind of big like that. Whether a park like this would have a bus station like this size is yet to be seen. But I guess if it's in the middle, like where I live, I'm kind of in the middle of like 2 metropolitan areas that both have their own transit systems, things like that. And if we have any like local like hotel buses or anything like that, they can have their own shuttles from here as well. That kind of makes sense to me. The problem is we need to figure out where we can actually bring in our delivery trucks. Because if you see here, this is the road that actually heads down into our main backstage area down here. And this is our only warehouse right now. It's our food service warehouse, but we do have a sort of a backstage area down here. So I don't know if I want to just keep it, coming straight. Let me actually get the asphalt path back out there. Bring that back up to 10 here. Now let's actually create the loop first. All right, so if we come out like this, let's redo this. Let's actually just kind of bring it out to maybe there. And then can we click off, please? Thank you. Can we bring it in anywhere over here that kind of makes sense? If we do something like that, that would actually probably be the best way to do this. And then let's turn on some snapping so that we can get a nice straight road here. And then we want to go ahead and turn this up to I'm thinking maybe 15 degrees. We do 30, 60, and then 90. And then we can kind of connect this back. Ooh, train. Yeah, okay. So we have to redo this terrain just a little bit. I don't think any of that path was affected by the terrain, but that is okay. And Sun Salute, I should have said something earlier. Thank you for the hearts there. I do appreciate it. But yeah, no, I had a good vacation. It was nice. It was warm. I wouldn't say warm. It was, I think, in the 80s the entire time. Which was nice. I mean, where I live at right now, I think the high today is like 50 degrees. So it's quite a bit of a swing from where I was at to where I am at now. So that's yeah, it was a little bit of a shock, but yeah, it was pretty fun. But something we did kind of different this time than what we do in any other time is that we actually stayed at different hotels throughout the entire vacation. So I think that's the I wanted to hit there. There we go. We stayed at Bay Lake Towers, which is an interesting story. We stayed at Caribbean Beach, the Riviera, Old Key West, and Animal Kingdom Lodge was the 4 or 5 we stayed at. I can honestly say I never want to go back to Old Key West because of a different bus story. I will tell right now. So if you ever stay at Old Key West in Walt Disney World in Orlando, the resort's massive. It is spread out over quite a few different. They drive. You can drive your own cars through there. I mean, they have a shuttle service within as a Disney transport system bus system, or Disney transport bus. They're just like an internal shuttle. And how it kind of works is that if you go to any area, there's different bus stops located around, and let's say you want to go to the check-in area where all the restaurants and shopping is for the resort. You hop on a Disney or any of the Disney theme park buses. We'll take you up to the front, and on your way back, you hop on a Disney Springs bus because they actually go in the reverse order. So essentially, the theme parks will go let's say there's 4 bus stops, and they'll stop at 2, bus up 2, then 3, then 4, then go back to 1. And 1's will be the check-in area. Disney Springs bus starts at 1, and it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it leaves the resort and goes to Disney Springs. And that's how it's supposed to work. And I've done that before. There's another one called Coronado Springs that I've seen it a couple times that have done that, and it works really well. But for some reason, I don't know if it was due to what was going on this year or what, but it was not. It was not working like that. What happened was I actually went up to get dinner one night, and so I got my food, got up there. It took me like 5 minutes to get up there. So not too long at all. And then on the way back, so I'm sitting there waiting on a bus for, it's actually me and my mother, was waiting on a bus for probably a good 35, 40 minutes. And we'd see buses come and go, and none of them were going to Disney Springs. And we finally got a bus driver like, hey, we're just trying to get back to our room. And, it's like, hey, is there any way you can just take us? And he had not stopped at our stop yet, so we got into his bus and finally made it back to our hotel room. But it was still a good 45 minutes to actually, walk to, or a good 45 minutes to wait on the bus. It probably would have even been about a 20-minute walk just to get back to our room. And that was not happening that night, I'll be honest with you. Yeah, I've never been to any other Disney park besides the ones in Orlando. I'd love to go to Disneyland. I like to visit them all one day. But it's fortunately this year was kind of sucks anyways, to visit stuff like that. But I have to admit Disney did a really good job of trying to keep any mandates and everything like that. Keep people have their mask on. Keep people distance while they were leaving. But it still was kind of odd because there was a lot of stuff that you would expect you would do that you couldn't. Like even taking photos. There was hardly any photo takers out there, and I noticed that because usually Disney has about a photo person about every 20 feet, especially in the Magic Kingdom. But I think when we were the first time we walked into the Magic Kingdom on our first day in a park, I may have saw one person on Main Street, and that was it, taking photos. And there was a bunch of people, like just families taking photos, but there was no Disney people taking photos, and I was kind of surprised about that. And maybe that was just something that they were still trying to work on. I don't know. But it was odd. Like, also, one of my favorite rides I at least try to ride every time I'm down there is Test Track. And so I went to go ride it this year, and the wait looks ridiculous, and it was not bad. I think it was like maybe 40 minutes, if that. And it didn't take that long. But also, funny enough, there was actually a rainstorm coming in right as I was about to ride it, and that ride is one of the rides that you can't operate in the rain. And I've tried to ride it in the rain before, and it didn't work out too well, because it hurt like crazy. Anyways, so yeah, I'm getting on, and it's like, yeah, it's just me, I'm single rider, whatever. I usually go through the single rider line. Like, all right, they're like, all right, one rider, you're going to go to number 1. And get on the car and, put my seatbelt on and everything. And I look back, and there's nobody else in the car. I am literally the only one in this car riding Test Track. I'm like, this is a little odd. Because usually, even with social distancing and everything, I would expect to at least put maybe 1 or 2 people in the back of the car, because I was sitting up front by myself. But no, I just had the car to myself, and it was kind of fun. It was odd. It was still fun. It was still Test Track. And the Food and Wine Festival, unfortunately, yeah, I know it was a weird experience, but it was once again still fun. Like, I'm not going to complain that I was the only one in this car. Let's see here. I think I want to bring the driveway in somewhere around here. Is something like that. And so I can just bring a T intersection, and I'll just build a little crosswalk here. That's no big deal. Also, we'll need to get rid of this dashed line here, because we don't need that anymore, because that was the original exit for the bus stations. And so now they're going to be down here. So we'll have to figure that one out. I still might leave that one there, just for like delivery trucks or whatever, or even just some buses that are up here. But it was just stuff like that. If you go into a theater, which, by the way, I think, I've heard a lot of talk. It's hilarious. My boss at work loves listening to people. I can't remember who it is, and I'll remember it when I get into work tomorrow. But there is somebody he listens to at work usually, or not at work, but he listens to. Every once in a while, I'll hear too that they talk about movies quite a bit. The guy used to work for AMC for a while and things like that, and. I was actually kind of surprised, because there's a lot of shows that there was no live shows this year, but Disney still had their audio animatronic shows, things like Hall of Presidents, the Carousel of Progress, the Great American Adventure, stuff like that was still operating. And so what they would do is I think they kind of set up a model to where a theater could reopen and still keep everybody safe. And so essentially what it was is that they roped off about every other row. So say this theater had 30 rows, or even 20 rows, it would cut off half of them, so you'd only have 10 rows. Okay, fair. And then you would have they'd have sections of 4 chairs. So in the rows that were open, they were like, they would have four seats at the end, and then there would be 2, I think it was 2 that were blocked off, or maybe 3 that was blocked off. Then they would do another set of 4. So go like that. So that's what they did with all their theaters. And it seemed like it worked okay. I didn't see really any issues with it. So to me, that probably worked out just okay. I think something like that, something like a theater like AMC or something like that, or Regal, could do to get back open if they really wanted to. Then you also got the problem with movies and stuff like that too. Maybe you really don't have any new movies out there, so I get it. But yeah, it was. I did stuff like some odd stuff like that on vacation that I usually wouldn't do. Also almost had to go to Walmart actually during the vacation too, which was interesting. That was interesting. Thankfully, I didn't have to. But unfortunately, I know I've talked a little bit about it on here that my dad had spent a couple months in the hospital earlier this month, about 2 months, and he was still doing a little bit of recovery. He still is right now, but he was having a little issues walking. He said we had a motorized scooter, and he's like, hey, he wanted to take that, and I think that was like a smart move so we can actually go and things like that. And we're at the airport. We're like, my mom's like, man, I think I'm missing something. There's something not right. And we're like, you're probably just worried about stuff and whatever. We get down to our hotel, and the first night we actually get down, we're actually staying at Bay Lake Towers, which, by the way, interesting story. We were going to stay at the Contemporary Resort, because I've never stayed there. I've been down to Walt Disney World 23 times now. Never stayed at the Contemporary in the A-frame. Never stayed at the Contemporary, period. But we're like, this is the year, we're going to stay in the A-frame, we're going to love it. We're going to get what they call a concierge room. If you don't know what a Disney concierge is, so essentially, it is a idea where it's a upper level, kind of club level, I guess you could say, where they give you, there's a private, like a little restaurant you can go to. They have food all the time, alcohol, things like that. They're very nice rooms. They had, what I was kind of upset about is that they actually had monorail chocolates they were just chocolate bars in the shape of monorails. I'm a huge monorail fan, and unfortunately, they actually closed the club levels before we got down there, so that was unfortunate. But then it comes the issue that we're down in Disney, and now they've canceled, they didn't really cancel our reservation, but the area that was going to be in or where we were going to be staying is actually closed now. So that's a bit of an issue. So what they did was they're like, hey, we'll put you into a 1-bedroom villa at Bay Lake Tower. And it's like, a little upset about that, but then I went and looked at the price of the Bay Lake Towers, and I wasn't too concerned about it. The room they actually gave us is about a $1,300 a night room. So I'm like, okay, fair. I will stay there for one night, So we get in, we check. We didn't have to check in. I checked in actually on the Magical Express going to the hotel. So it was pretty simple that way, And so we get to our room, we're relaxing. We're glad we made it and everything. We're glad we're down there. And Dad was like, hey, did anybody know where the charging cable for the scooter is? Could not find it anywhere. Come to find out, I actually had left it in the car in Columbus. So it's like, all right, cool. So now we don't have a charging cable for a scooter. And it's literally our first day on vacation, and I don't know where to get one of these cables. Now, you would think this is a very specialized cable, but I started working in IT, and I realized it's the same cable that you use to actually power your computer with. Exact same cable. So I'm like, all right, cool. I think I can find, like, if I just could talk to somebody in their IT department, I could go get a cable. And I'm like, all right, cool. So I walked down to the front desk, and the guy's name's Robert. I think it's hilarious because, honestly, I think half the people that work at Disney World is named Robert. And that's not a joke, because I think I met about 5 or 6 different Roberts on vacation. I'm like, it's hilarious because, I wanted to work down there, and, well, of course, my name's Robert, a real name at least. So we could talk to the guy. I'm like, hey, I've got a bit of a problem. I'm like, I found it at a Walmart about 6 miles away. And I'm like, okay, yeah. It's like, is there any way, I can rent a car or get somebody to go there? He goes, it was like 8:30 at night. I'm like, well, runner left at 7. I'm like, okay, but they'll come in at 8 o'clock tomorrow, and they can go run out and get the cable. I'm like, here it is, whatever. It was a really specialized request, and I'm like, they'll never remember that. I will have to figure out a way to get to a Walmart at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. And so I'm like, all right, I'm just tired. I'm going to bed. So we go up to the room, go to bed, get up the next morning, which, by the way, if you ever get the chance to stay at either Bay Lake Towers or the Contemporary and have a theme park view, definitely do it. I have photos on somewhere, I think it might be on my phone, where I'm literally almost eye level with the monorail, and it's about 200 feet in front of me going into Contemporary, and you can see all the Magic Kingdom. If you have a telephoto lens, you actually can see the people in Tomorrowland, which, you know, is amazing. But I remember I got up the next morning, and I went and got breakfast, and while they were cooking the food, I went down to the lobby. And Robert, of course, wasn't there. It was somebody else. And I'm like, hey, you know, I need, you know, I requested last night for this cable. She goes, oh, you're Robert. I'm like, well, I don't know if she meant the guy working or if it was actually me. She goes, Werner's actually out getting it right now. I'm like, well, number one, I was kind of amazed they actually remembered the request. So I'm like, okay, I asked how long it's going to be. It's probably going to be about 9 o'clock, 9:30. You know, it's about 45 minutes. I'm like, okay, whatever. So I'm sitting there. I'm like, all right, what do we do? And I'm like, all right, I'm going to go eat breakfast, and, you know, hopefully I'll get a call about it. Eat my breakfast, don't get anything about it. And so I'm like, all right, well, I better head down there to see if maybe it's in the lobby. Because there actually was 2 lobbies. There's one for Bay Lake Towers, and then there's one for the Contemporary itself. And so I walked down, and I'm like, hey, I'm looking for this cable. And he goes, hold on, are you Bob? Bob's my dad's name. So I'm like, no, but I know who Bob is. I'm his son. And he goes, and he pulls out a Walmart bag. He goes, I'm pretty sure this is for you. I could be wrong. I'm like, is it a charging cable? I'm like, well, he goes, well, it's a computer cable. I'm like, that'll be it. I was actually kind of amazed that they found, number one, they actually were able to find the Walmart, find the cable, and get it back to me in a reasonable amount of time. I was thoroughly shocked and thankful they did, because I don't know what else I would have done without that, because I don't know, but I had to fly back to Columbus just to get the cable out of the car. So, but that was kind of nice. So, you know, I still have to write the comment card at the end of, you know, I still have to, because I mean, if you have like really exceptional service, they do have like comment cards you can leave for different people, and I still need to do that. I remember the girl's name was Nicole. So Nicole from the Contemporary, thank you for the charging cable. I really did appreciate it. So what are we doing now? So what I'm going to do is I'm actually starting on the shelters. I want to add some shelters around here, so when people actually are waiting on a bus, they don't have to stand out in the rain or, you know, anything like that. Now, what I'm going to do is just something kind of basic. I don't really want anything too fancy, because I figured this park would have a little bit of money for this. Now, but you also got to remember, this is not a essential part of the theme park. This is really just, it is something that they need, because, you know, you want to keep your people happy, but at the same time, this is something you have to, you know, put maintenance into, stuff like that. So they don't really want something too expensive that they have to, you know, put in a lot of money over time. So I figured a nice wooden and stone shelter would be kind of nice. They might have splashed it a little bit more on the foundation just to make it look a little bit nicer. But I think I'm going to do something like this. And I'll bring this and this across, and that's not on the right axis. Unless it's not on the right axis to start with. Well, that's unfortunate. All right, well, we'll do it in one piece at a time. Like that. There we go. And one more like so. That'll be kind of the basic frame of the shelter itself. I want to go ahead and actually do the roof piece, and I'll show you why here in a second. Now, also number one, been looking at Theme Maker's Toolkit for quite a few things. I finally found a dumpster, which is odd, but you'd think, you know, something you don't think about, like, that you need in a park. And honestly, when I used to work there, we had probably 20 of those lying around just to throw garbage into, because we always needed stuff like that. So, not too bad at all. Not bad. I'm drinking actually a combination of lemonade and sweet tea. Not a bad combination. But there was actually some ruse I downloaded that I want to put on here. I think it'll look kind of nice. Also have some new turnstiles and drinking fountains and things like that. Stuff that I've kind of collected. I've kind of looked at and seen like, oh, that might work out pretty well. Also have these Q fans, which I think I'm going to put up around because I actually noticed, while I was actually at Disney, I noticed how many fans they had just lying around. Not really lying around, they're actually being used. It's a lot. I mean, there was a lot of just, mostly it was in areas where a lot of people would have been, like, originally. So, entrance and queue lines, in the middle of, Animal Kingdom had a lot of them, which kind of makes sense because it is the most humid place in the world, so you want to try to keep cool there. Something like that will work. I'm just kind of putting up a basic, kind of a layout, I guess, for that. There we go. And I think, okay. I just want to put kind of just a basic one up, just so that I know where I need to put, kind of the roof supports, or something like that. I think that'll work. Actually, I need to rotate this because I realize it's the wrong direction. There we go. But yeah, I actually got to try some newer stuff. I mean, I know that Disney's Riviera Resort is actually relatively new, to at least to me it is. I don't remember it being there last time I was there. Got to stay there. That's it's. So the Riviera is probably, it was a nice resort. It's more for people who don't want too much Disney, which is kind of an odd thing for me to say. It was a nice hotel, but it wasn't very themed. Like, if you go to things like Pop Century or All-Star Music, or any of the All-Stars, Art of Animation, things like that, they really hammer you with Disney theming. And there was some Disney theming. I'm not saying there wasn't, but at the same time, it was very kind of toned down. There was some very nice artwork in there, which, speaking of art, there's another story I need to tell. Yeah, it was just a nice resort. It was on the Skyliner, so that was kind of fun, just to try that out. Which, by the way, rode that quad a few times. It's a fun little transportation thing that I didn't expect to enjoy, but I was actually kind of surprised with it. But kind of on the topic of art, usually when I go to Disney, I usually have quite a bit. I have money saved up. I do try to keep not an emergency fund, but I do have a good amount. If I see something kind of unique or something like that, I can usually have the funds to get it. But there was one piece that kind of got away from me, and it's a smart. I think it was like kind of a smart move on my part not to buy it because it was a little bit expensive. But I do love the piece itself, and so if you were curious, I was actually at Disney Springs one day. I think it was like the first day I was down there, and went to one of the art stores, normal. Didn't really think too much about it, and they have what they call the Disney Original section, and these can be either documents or like renditions from the actual Disney studios from the 50s and 60s and things like that. And I'm like, you know what? Let's see what they have. I'm kind of curious. And there's one piece. There was a couple things. There was the original contract from the Disney studios for Roy Disney, signed by Roy Disney. That was pretty neat. But there was one next to it that really caught my attention, and it was probably about this wide, maybe about a foot and a half tall. There's a picture of Walt Disney on top. It was at an animator's table, and below it was a check, and it was a $100 check written in 1956 to Ruth Beecher, and it just said "Happy Birthday" on it. And it said from Walt Disney, and from Walt Disney bank account, had his address, from Bank of America. That's the bank he used. I'm like, that's pretty impressive. And signed by Walt Disney, they had authenticated it was a real check. I'm like, all right, well, this is kind of neat. Like, I'm a huge Walt Disney fan. I'm a Disney fan in general. But Walt Disney himself is kind of like an icon for me. And I'm like, all right, curious about it. I'm like, looked at the price. It was $9,000. Like, that's a bit much. while I love the piece, it is still hanging. Well, from my knowledge, it is still hanging at Disney Springs, in the Art of Disney store, I think as it is. It's right across from the Christmas store. So if anybody's curious about it, you can probably still go there today and look at it. And I actually contemplated it for about 3 or 4 days, trying to figure out if I wanted to buy it or not. And it was kind of a tough decision because it's like while I could have afforded it, I'm a little nervous. With kind of financially, I don't have a full-time job. I mean, you guys have kind of known that I work part-time for a company, doing IT work. But hopefully I'll have my degree here actually in about 5 weeks. So, it's one of those things, like, I hope I can, because unfortunately I even asked if for some reason it comes up and I would like to purchase that later, I actually have to go down there and purchase it. Which is kind of unfortunate because I was hoping, if for some reason I got a full-time job, I probably would have just purchased it then. But yeah, it's a little hard to let go and say no to it. But I think for right now it was a smart decision. But who knows? It was a fun. It's a neat piece still, and I'd love to have it. But yes, didn't do that one on that day. So one of my favorite art pieces I have of Disney, I got actually at Star Tours. They actually usually have some Disney or like Star Wars art there. Something they have originals. I know actually not too far away from here there actually is a photo of Princess Leia signed by Kathy Fisher. Is it Kathy Fisher? I said that wrong. I probably did that wrong, but signed by her, the original actress. And it was actually not too long after that when she passed away. But yeah, but one of my favorites though, one I actually purchased myself, it's called Boonta Eve Hero, and I didn't know what it was titled until after I got home and looked it up. But you can go look it up now on Google. It is not a rare piece. I think they only made like maybe 1,000 or so. But it's a depiction of Mickey Mouse as Anakin Skywalker racing in the pod race from Episode 1. It's a neat little piece. It's hanging above my bed now. It's probably 2 foot by 3 foot. It's a hefty painting that I had to ship home. That was a fun experience too. But no, that's one of my one of the neat pieces I have. Like this time, this time I actually went and did both the lightsaber building and the droid building experiences. Just kind of curious about those, and I'm a big Star Wars person, so I'm like, yeah, let's give it a try. Didn't realize, number one, how heavy the lightsabers are, because my god, those are probably, I think, if I'm not mistaken, the hilt itself is probably a good 10 pounds. It is all metal. I mean, for what we paid for it, I would say it had to have been all metal. But they're almost like kind of pieces of art in and of themselves, I guess. The droid's a little more of a toyish, but it was still really fun. I have a BB unit that is orange, silver, and black, and I want to do some. I have some ideas because essentially his head's white and the actual ball itself. If you know what a BB-8 unit is, or a BB unit, if you've seen BB-8 from the new Star Wars movies, he's essentially a ball that sits in a head that sits on top of it. So the ball itself is black, but I want to actually paint it to make it look like it was painted over, like it was a stolen droid. I think we kind of a neat little kind of a storytelling idea there. Like the orange is good on his head, but the ball's kind of been scratched. The paint's been scratched off on the ball itself, and it's kind of revealing that it was a different droid at one point. I think it'd be kind of fun. I've been looking at how to do it, and I think I know how I'm going to do it. I just got to, have the time to do it, unfortunately. Because I've been doing, I wanted to stream again because that was something I was missing a little bit. I was getting all these really cool ideas for things, and I couldn't do anything with them because I'm like, I don't have a computer. I had my phone. I'm like, I could write down the ideas, and that was about it. And so, but now I can actually act upon them, and it's been kind of fun just getting back here and talking with you guys and things like that. So, but right now you can kind of see the shelters coming together a little bit. Spend a little more time on something like this. I do want to, you know, something I've noticed with my Planet Coaster building is if I really rush something, like if I want to get something done during a stream, I may kind of slack off on some of the detail and stuff like that. And I really want to kind of slow down a little bit with stuff like this, and I want to build more detailed stuff like this. I want to have something that I'm like, yes, that very well could be a real thing. No, I'm not saying everything I did was rushed. I mean, if you look at Thunder Falls is a great example. Like, I maybe towards the end a little bit, but I mean, that ride is a very fun ride. I had a great time building that one. And so I think we're good on that one. I think I'm okay with, but like, I want to spend a little more time, put some more details and things like that, to where I can walk back through here. I'm like, oh yeah, that's just a bus station. But that's kind of what you expect, though. Like, you don't want it to stand out very much. You want it to make, oh yes, that's a bus station, and then not think about it, because your brain's like, oh yeah, that's what it's supposed to look like, kind of thing. I'm gonna lower this down just a little bit. Let me grab an archer as well, just to get some sizing correct. That might be a little bit tall, but I think I'm okay with that. Most of the shelters at Disney are pretty tall anyways, so I'm okay with how that's turned out. Now, gotta figure out how big I want to make this. I think I want to make this, thinking if I do maybe 4, so do something like that. Sure, those are 4 meters wide, so that's 20 meters long. And if we put a bus up here, let me see if I can get a bus real quick. Trust me, I didn't get a bus quick at Disney. That was not happening. But if I get a bus, now I do plan on trying to find some different buses for this later. I don't know. I might even try to do, because I've been playing around with some 3D modeling as well. So I actually might try to build my own buses. I noticed that Disney uses a company called Gillig, which they do all their buses for them. So I might try to, if I can do a basic 3D model of just a Gillig bus and put it in here, which I'm kind of surprised someone else has not. This seems like something that Theme Maker's Toolkit was almost designed for, was building vehicles that you could put in here. Now maybe buses are not the most, practical thing, or maybe not the first thing someone would think of when they're building an amusement park, but maybe that's just me. So let's do this. I think if I copy the 3 tops here, just across, we'll have to do something like that, and one more, like there. Now, if I, number one, maybe putting the shelter in the floor in the same thing, maybe not the brightest idea of mine, but that's what we did. Now, I have this. If I hit duplicate and then rotate this 90 degrees, slide this over to here, like that, that I think works as I'm actually kind of proud of this little bus. It's weird. I get proud of some of the weirdest moments. But yeah, look at that. It's a nice little bus station. About the right height for the buses. And this is kind of like a Fort Wilderness kind of style of bus station. But you know what? Number one, I was actually kind of surprised. That's one I actually forgot to mention. I actually did stay at Fort Wilderness in one of the cabins there. And that was a neat experience. And it was odd too, because number one, that place, I think it might be the biggest resort they have, just because they have to have places for campers and things like that. So it makes sense. You have to ride usually there's 2 ways you can really get around there. Number one, well, 3, but one's kind of boring. You can bring your own car or camper or whatever. You can get around that way, or and also you can take Disney Transport. They have different lines through there and things like that. And the third way, actually, you can actually rent a golf cart, and you rent it for like $65 a day, which actually isn't bad. That's all we paid for. We only were there one day, so we paid for one day, and we got to drive the golf cart around for fun. I was having a blast. I mean, they drive them on the roads there, so I mean, it's not like they're very hindered at all. But I remember, so what happened was my dad was in the scooter still, so he really couldn't ride in the golf cart. So him and my mother went on. Was going to go take the bus and head to the cabin, and I was going to stay behind, pick up the golf cart that we rented and then drive it to our cabin. It wasn't actually, come to find out, it actually was not that far from our cabin to where we actually had to go pick up the golf cart. And so we, they rode the bus, which they had a time and a half with the bus there, because apparently they were waiting on one bus, so they were waiting on, I think, a orange line bus and a purple line bus. 3 or 4 purple line buses showed up, and then when they got into the orange line bus, they realized that they needed a purple line bus. Really kind of confusing, but they finally got there, and I'm actually waiting there with the golf cart. And the way the cabins kind of work at Fort Wilderness is that they're kind of split up into cul-de-sacs almost. They're like one big loop. And there's maybe 50 cabins around the loop, and they're pretty good, probably about 25 foot apart, so you still have a good amount of privacy, but you don't feel like you're out in the middle of nowhere. But the problem is they're a one-way system. You can still drive a car through there, but, still a one-way system. And unfortunately, it goes up from like 1, and then as you go around, it gets higher. We're like at 42, so we're almost at the end, actually closer to turn right and go through the loop that way, but we turn left, the problem is my dad still had his scooter, and so my mom jumped into the golf cart with me to take her back to the cabin, because the bus station was at the beginning of the circle, so we had to ride back to the cabin a little bit. And so I'm going through on the golf cart, not at full speed, but probably close to it, and my dad's just sitting behind us in his little scooter, riding behind us. It was the funniest. I mean, we have photos. I have photos somewhere of it, but it was really kind of funny. And after that, once we dropped off the scooter, we all jumped in the golf cart and took off to dinner. But yeah, that was one of the funnier moments of the vacation. But now we've got our basic bus shelter up. We do need a little bit of organization. So what I'm planning on doing, I wanted to do some queue lines in here. Now the queue lines themselves will be pretty simple. Probably you'll have it. This is where you would exit, so you would go in, out, and probably just back in, and then enter over here. Then have a lane over here for any handicap access as well. So, I don't know how I wanted to do it though. It was kind of the what I was trying to think of how I wanted to do it. Because the way I noticed Disney did it is that usually this bar and this bar was actually like a fixed permanent pole. And usually the ones that ran, it was kind of like L shapes that they ran. Pretty much the rest of them were just poles they stuck in the ground and then ran chains through. So do I do something like that? I mean, I could very well do that, or do I make it all like chains, or do I do like something of my own design? I really don't know, and that's kind of what I was kind of struggling with. It's like, what do I do? I really think I somewhat have an idea of how I can do the bigger poles around here, but let's give it a try. Let's try. You know what? There actually might be. I actually got this pole. It has a nice little electrical box on it. I could probably use that for other things too. I actually forgot. I mean, this is not the pole I was actually thinking of. I was actually thinking of the road sign pole. But I think, first of all, if I align this to this here, so we got a nice, it's nice and even with everything. If I turn this upside down and pull this out to here, do we get to? I think we got rid of our archer, which is not ideal, but. I think I'm going to shorten this up just a little bit here. I usually try to keep the poles at about a hip width. I think that's a good measure of that. But I think, though, unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to be able to do the permanent ones around here. I mean, I could do something like this. Hold on, let me kind of show you what I'm thinking here. Oh, hold on. Line to surface. It is a line to surface. Alright, well, not quite what I meant there, but alright. I mean, I could do something like this. Let's see how this looks, too. I figured, you know, if we're here, let's go ahead and try it. And we'll do probably something like this. And then do one at the bottom, because for some reason that's how they did it. Let's see if we can rotate this. The reason I'm sighing is that I think... Oh, crap. They actually stick through a lot more than I thought they would. Can we lower them down a bit at all? What does that look like? So here's the problem, is that this actually looks better than I thought it would. And that's kind of the problem, is like this is a lot of parts for me to use on just a bus station fence. That actually looks pretty good. Like, it actually kind of looks like what I was thinking of. The 2-meter cable. 2-meter cable. What's this one? Oh, that one's actually a lot more plain, and I like that better. So let's remove these there. So let's scroll those over to here. Raise this up just a tiny bit. There we go. And then slide this over to here. Make sure it's still lined up with the bottom one here. Like that. Slide that to the top. And there. And then we delete the bottom one. We get a third one in there. And I hate to see this. I kind of like how this fence looks. So, there is probably what we're going to do with our fence. So let's get rid of all that. So actually, what I'm going to do is actually split this from the scenery group and edit it from here, because I do want to have this as a separate group, because I figured this one might be a little bit harder to work with. But anyways, so we got that up there. Let's go ahead and start duplicating this all across like so. By the way, also something I've noticed, and maybe this is just because I was so tired of Disney. It was not tired of Disney, tired at Disney. It's a little bit different there. But I would lean against the fences here, you know, as I was waiting for a bus or whatever. And I noticed that I think they purposely actually built every bus station differently. Like, they didn't use the same fencing at all. They used, you know, different styles or different, like one would be like, one would have just these top 2 bars and nothing underneath. Some would have all 3. Some would have all the middle bars. Some would only have like ones on the ends. It's like, why would you do this? It seemed like it would make more sense. Now, granted, I know Disney's a very themed area, but even then, you would think you have some form of kind of not I'm trying to think what I'm trying to think of here. Hold on. Some sort of like uniformity, I guess, across your bus stations. Maybe that's just me thinking that. So there is going to be our entrance for this. And it really, if you look at the Magic Kingdom bus stations, they're really pretty much this. And then they have a few poles that they stick up, and then like you can exit. It's really odd. I think I can just go ahead and duplicate all of this. Let's go ahead and get rid. That's not what I wanted to do. Let's go ahead and add all of those back in. And these last 4 in there. Boosh. Slide that all the way down to there. Kind of see how this is going so far. Now, with this opening on the other side here, that's going to be our handicap entrance. So essentially what I want to do is... let's go ahead and get the poles that I'm thinking of right in here. So if you recognize these are the kind of the generic cue poles that I've used, excuse me, many of times in ride queues, shop queues, things like that. And if you ever been to an amusement park, you kind of know what those are. So let's do this. And let's slide them over to there. There. We're kind of matching them up with the poles over there. At least trying to. Doing my best. Those should be at least 2 meters away from each other. So that should work out pretty well for us. Now let's go back through and grab all of these. And hold on. Come on. There we go. We'll slide that over to there. So you can see here, we come in here, loop around, and then out. It's kind of the idea, at least. And I might leave them like... I might vary them a little bit. Probably for this bus station, since it's the very first one, usually it's for very high-end demand. Like, if you look at the buses at Disney, they are kind of segregated a little bit. If you stay at a very high-end resort that needs a bus to somewhere, they will probably put you up front more than likely. Whereas if you stay at the cheapest hotel that they offer, you're going to have to walk a little bit to your bus station. And that's how it's pretty much always been, come to think about it. But I can honestly say that this was the first vacation where we actually got bus up number 1 for one day. That was kind of neat. But... you know, it's, it kind of happens. I guess they can do, oh, that's not what I want to delete. They can kind of do it how they want to. And I realize that we don't have a top bar on this anymore. Unfortunate. I'm going to fix that really quick. Do something like that. There we go. So essentially this is kind of what the queue lines would look like. And then essentially what we could do, well, kind of put up here. Let's rotate this up 50 or 90 degrees. I'm like, none of that made sense at all. Let's rotate this around to there. I'll probably have to do a custom length of chain. I think I've done this a couple times in the game before, so it's not too big of a deal. See here, we're just a little bit short, so we're going to tilt this a little bit. So we go down quite a bit more. But actually, we don't want to do it that far, actually. We'll probably bring it up kind of like that. And like this. Rotate this like that, and there we go. So there is that completed, and so now we got a nice length of chain that we can, well, probably just for that section there. You know what, I might actually do it over here. Do I do it over here as well? Do I build a gate over here? I might build a gate there, just so. Usually that's how they did it with. From what I saw, they actually had gates that they would put up, so it wasn't too awful bad. But I noticed that it might be a little bit too big for the rest of these, which is not ideal. So what we'll have to do is go back to here, rotate it into, that's not what I wanted to do. There, rotate this into place now. Slide that back over to here. Actually, it's pretty much just a perfect length for that too, so we can just slide it in there. That actually works out a lot better than I thought it would. So this, hopefully, we'll have to do another. We might do a custom one there. We'll see. We'll see. This one's too short still. Alright, well. So is that one. Alright, well. Let's do what we always do and fix it. And by fix it, I mean I'm going to make these a little bit shorter, because I don't think it's really that big of a deal that we make them a little bit shorter like that. And everything else kind of fits pretty well in, so we have to do this one. There we go. So there is that one done. That looks pretty good. Oh, come on. Oh, that one's actually not fixed correctly. That means this one's not going to be correct either. So let's fix this real quick. And I think this is kind of one of my issues I have sometimes, is that I kind of want to rush through stuff like this. It can be kind of monotonous and boring, and it's like I want to, you know, work on that next thing. What's the next part that we can do to make this a little more complete? And it's something that you kind of got to sit back for a second. It's like, all right, is this really, you know, can we actually save some time by spending a little more time here, then we don't have to redo all the chains later? I think it looks a little bit nicer that way too. So let's go ahead and grab this one. Hopefully this will fit down here. Ooh, dear, it does not. Not even close. Alright, well, actually I want to move it over to here. And while it's still lined up, it's nowhere near where we need it to be. So we'll have to do a little more custom one, that's all. We need to drop this down just a little bit. We'll duplicate that. We'll need to rotate this up to there. Rotate this up a little bit more. So what I'm going to do with this one, though, is just a little bit different. I'm going to actually rotate both chains down just a little bit more to make it look like maybe that chain's a little bit lower. And just with a little bit of variation, I think that works kind of nice. And so there is our kind of cattle pen for our bus station here. And then the last thing I want to do is we actually want to build the gate here. So with that, I think the easiest way I want to do it is actually using 1 meter pieces. Do I not have a 1 meter thin cable? Is that not a thing? Or 1 meter cable, kind of the thicker one, which I guess look like I do, which is fine. We kind of work around it. You know what, let's make this a little bit longer, like there. And then let's go ahead. So essentially, I'm going to do the exact same thing I did, you know, building all this. I want to make it, you know, have the 3 bars still that we had going horizontally, like that. And I do want to have the bars like this going across it. However, this one might look a little bit different because of the fact that it is the same thickness. I don't know if I like that. It's not bad, but could be a little bit better, I guess. Something like that, and then we delete this one because we have already a copy of it. That'll work. We need to put a handicap sticker on. Or do we have a handicap sign on here? Is a better question. I really don't know. Look here and grab a drink. Oh, a fallout shelter sign. We can put that up there. I don't think it's going to work, but let's see here. I swear I had one. No smoking sign. I would be kind of surprised if I didn't have one. We might even be able to put a designated smoking section out here, just so that kind of get it away from the park just a little bit. Aha, there we go. Like one of the last things we have. I was like, all right, well, that's great. Go, we'll slide that up to there. And there we go. I think that's not too bad. I think that'll work out pretty well. So there's the fencing done. So we can pretty much call that bus. Well, I don't want to call it complete yet. I'm going to go back here. I actually want to. As I was thinking about doing this, I think I want to split the shelter away from the foundation itself. So we can actually go back here, and hopefully I do this correctly. If I do, it'll be a miracle, but I think I can do this. If I can just do this and highlight just that, I think I just got the shelter. So let's split that from the scenery group. We'll hit X just to kind of verify. I missed one piece. Well, that's unfortunate. That really is just a shame. I bet you $10 if I tried that 100 more times, I could not get it that good. I realized that I accidentally grouped the entire thing back together. So let's try this again. Let's try to get that one piece in there. 116. I don't know if that's the correct one or not. Looks like that is the correct number there. Let's go ahead and split that from there. And see if we can combine these two together. So now we actually have our own bus station, kind of as its own scenery group. I think that works out pretty well. So now I do want to add just a few lights under here. Maybe make it a little bit nicer. Let's see here. I want to go to props, maybe, or lighting. What kind of lights do we want to run out here? I mean, I could, these huge floodlights are, can be kind of nice. And we can also hang a chandelier or something like that. I mean, they had stuff like this that I saw. It was kind of interesting, but it might be a little large for what we're looking for. Or we could do something like a lantern, but I think these are actually sized halfway decently. Why don't we do something like that? So we'll do something like this. We will hang the lantern there. On the middle support there. And here. Then we can go ahead and go back through here. Oh, that's 2. There's the third. And slide these just below these posts here. See how this looks. That would be pretty much a well-lit bus station, I would think. Fair enough, these probably would not be just lanterns. They would be like LEDs or something like that. They look like lanterns. Let's see what it looks like at 1 a.m. That's nice. Okay, I'm on board with that. Let's see what it would be like if we deleted the middle ones. I can still live with that. Okay, I think 6 will work. So there is our bus shelter. We do need a sign though, just to kind of show what. Well, we need a couple things. Sign. First off, we need a sign that depicts what bus station this is. So this will be bus station number 1. That's a little large. Also a little large there. No, it's a little too large still. Too large. I think something like that, I think we can kind of get away with. And we'll do bus stop 1. And we'll do it in black lettering. I think that's kind of okay there. And then outline can be maybe a nice gray. And then I kind of want to incorporate it a little bit more into there. So if we do maybe like a nice, something like that maybe, I think that'll look a little bit better than just kind of what we were doing with the rest of it. Maybe darken that a little bit more. There we go. I think that looks pretty good. Yeah, I think this works out pretty well. I want to slide this in a little bit as much as I can without... There we go. I want to duplicate this on the other side just in case somebody's walking down from the other end and try to figure out where the bus stops are. So, let's do this. But we're not done with the station quite yet. There's a couple other things I do need to get done, or I want to do that that I think will help out a little bit more. So there is kind of where the people will, that's the shelter itself. We can probably put a few trash cans around. I'll do that later because I don't know where I want to put the trash cans and things like that. But the next thing I want to do is actually create. I'm kind of doing a Disney inspired, so I might actually get rid of this line here. A Disney inspired bus stop to where the buses actually do not pull in 100% straight. They actually pull in at an angle. And you can see here this bus is actually at an angle. I do want to move it just a little bit. I might want to rotate it just a little bit more just to kind of get an idea of where a bus would park. Maybe something like that. So now that we have kind of our, well, yeah, that'd be probably what the angle they would park at. Maybe a little bit more actually. Hold on. Yeah, turn it just a little bit more here. So essentially, right now, instead of having, so essentially a bus could very well pull off or pull into here, and they can actually just turn straight in. But let's say if these were straight, like parallel parking, it'd be hard for like the next bus to get into here because they have to go around and they kind of have to pull forward and back up. This, they can just kind of pull straight in. They should be able to at least. So let's go back over to here. Let's pull this out to here. I think I only want to do a 4-meter section like that. I do want to rotate it just a bit. I want to maybe do 15 degrees. See how that looks. I think that'll work. Like so. Now I do want to take this. It's going to seem a little odd what I'm about to do. I'm actually going to split this from the building. Now I want to grab both sections here and add them to a group and edit this group. Alright, so now we have kind of this little island here that kind of, it kind of serves a couple of different purposes. Number one, if the bus ever hit it, like if they lost brakes or whatever, it hopefully wouldn't run over the curb. It would have a little bit, it has a little bit more buffer to it to stop any vehicles or any buses that would come through here, hopefully. And two, kind of gives a bus a nice place to park. And now, what I want to do is with this, is I actually want to create some of the. You probably have seen them before. I think they're called bollards or bollards, whatever you want to call them. Make them a nice red like that. Essentially, what these are just poles that they put into the ground here that they're supposed to prevent vehicles from being able to run over them. But you see these a lot in front of stores and stuff like that. They're actually pretty common. But Disney has them right here in front of their bus stops like this, so that if for some reason a bus loses control or whatever, hopefully these will help stop that bus or at least slow it down so people can get out of the way. Don't know why the bus is so askew like that, which is kind of odd, but alright. It's like a flying bus I have right now. Huh. I don't know. It's a bit of an odd situation. Hold on. Let me see if I move it somewhere else. Line to surface off. Maybe just get a new bus. And a broken bus, sounds like. Alright. Kind of lower down, kind of where it would be, you know. And we're kind of rotate it in. So now the kind of the front door is pretty much, you know, if you took a step off, you would be right onto the concrete, like onto the sidewalk. So I think that works pretty well. I'm gonna back the bus up just a little bit there. There we go. Now, what I need to do is actually create a kind of a second side to this that will allow the buses coming in enough room over here so that they don't clip the this, you know, side here. All right, so there is that. Now, this is what I was kind of hoping for. So I've got pretty much this is how I wanted the bus station to look, and I even put some signs here of, you know, this is bus station 1 or whatever. But we can worry about those details here in a little bit. But here's what I wanted to try to do. So now I've got this duplicated. I want to slide this down to here. Now you know what I probably should do first? Let's actually add the bus into the station group here. Let's see, let's go ahead and split it from here. Multi-select these two. Add them together. And I actually just want to duplicate these now. So now we can just keep duplicating these bus stations, and we should be able to, you know, relatively easily fix these. We just got to redo the signs essentially, and then delete the archer out of them. So let's go and delete the archer out of these. Make this bus stop number 2. And what I'll probably end up doing eventually is actually creating a, because there always is a sign like right before the bus stations of what bus stops where. I'll probably do that in some sort of like screen type thing. So I think that'll work out pretty well. But now also, like I see here that I can put 3 bus stations. I can only put 3 bus stations here. So I'll give bus station number 2 a little bit more breathing room. And so there we go. I actually really like how this is turning out so far. Yeah, I think it looks really nice. I don't know, it's a lot better than what we had there, I would say. And if you notice here, the curb kind of comes up. You can kind of see a ramp up a little bit, and there's a little bit down here, but you kind of see how this is going. I might actually we'll try something here. See if this works. If it doesn't, oh well, but if it does, great. If I pronounce your name wrong, please let me know, but Dan Planet Coaster Man, hello there. How are you doing today? I saw the name, I'm like, oh, I'm going to mess this up. And I hate messing people's names up, because it's like, I feel terrible about it. But I think I got that one. But how are you doing today, sir? I'm glad you are stopping by. I do appreciate it. Let's see if we can do that. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. It actually looks like a warning line. It says, hey. There's a curb there. Which I noticed that they actually did stuff like that, where, like, if it's a step down, they would actually have a red line. But if it was something you can actually kind of transition through very smoothly, it was actually painted white, which is kind of interesting. I'm doing good. Yeah, thank you. I do appreciate you stopping by. You know, this build's been kind of fun. Well, of course, this whole park's been fun, but you know, I was just kind of in the mood to do something a little bit different today, and yeah, I think this bus station area, I think, is something that needed some attention, needed some love, and yeah, I think this is really kind of gone farther than I thought it would. It actually seems like people are enjoying it. I get to tell my stupid bus stories of waiting on Disney buses while I build this bus station, but I think it's starting to shape up. Once I got the first bus station done, I figured it would be a little bit quicker, and it has been. That's what I was kind of happy about. So we can rotate this. Now I did have an, I was kind of thinking after, because I mean, if you look at the park itself, we're actually getting, there's less to do now, or we're closer to the end than we are to the beginning. We're over halfway. Okay, let me even zoom out. So if you're new here, this actually is my amusement park called Thunder Lake. We really only have this section to go until the park's completed. And part of this is going to be an employee parking lot. So really, ride-wise, there's not really too much much more room to do. I'll probably will put in the highway here. I've still been trying to think about how I want to do that. There's a couple backstage areas. There's actually a small town I wanted to build up a little bit over here. You can kind of see the beginnings of over there. But we're getting towards the end here, and like I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do after this. And now I might take a little bit of time off streaming-wise for Planet Coaster and do some other games. But I do want to kind of keep this on the channel because it seems like people love this game. They love hearing my stories and how silly they are. And I think it's something that I want to continue. But what would be kind of the next challenge or the next idea I want to do? Because this park is kind of a low to mid budget park, kind of a smaller area. I really don't have too much. I thought about if I wanted to do my own Disney World kind of thing. Could I do something like that? Maybe. Might be kind of fun. I don't know. If you guys have any ideas at all, let me know, because I think it'd be kind of fun to take some ideas. I realized I just built that onto the same bus station. Okay, I didn't want to do that. Oh well, we can fix that, but probably won't do that right this second here. Make this bus stop number 3 here. So essentially I've built what I already had here. We had 3 bus stations already built into this area, but now we've actually... Why is there a bar there? Hold on. Did I mess up somewhere? I might have messed up somewhere. Accidentally put an extra bar around there, but yeah. It's something I've been thinking about what I wanted to do next, and I thought about doing a Disney World or Disneyland-esque park where I didn't have a budget. But at the same time, though, I'd be a little bit concerned trying to get detail-wise, because those parks have so many details in them. I can tell stories all day about details and stuff like that, but I don't know if I can actually, I don't know if I'm quite up to that level of detailing yet. I can probably be close, but I don't know if I'm quite there yet. Alright, so let's get bus station 4 up and going here. I might need to widen the road out just a little bit after I see how much of the roads will be taken up by the bus station and the bus kind of itself. We'll see how that goes here in just a moment. And I know I'm going to have to kind of get a little finicky with how the shelters are sitting and things like that around here, because they are going to be a little bit tight, and there have to be a little bit of skew because of how the pavement is. So let's turn this a little bit more. Let's bring this in. I think this might be the first one I have to do. So let's line up the shelter first. So what I'm going to do, I think I want to put the point of kind of that, or the concrete here. I'll put that right in the middle of the middle support. You know what? That almost worked. So let me give the bus a little more room. But I think that works out perfectly. That gives us... I think I can put at least one more station in here and give us 6 bus stations. I think that works out pretty well. But seeing it now, yes, I'm going to have to widen this out pretty good. I mean, we can even put this bus station at the very... Oop, that's not what I wanted to do. Let's actually redo that and then duplicate it. I hate when I grab the wrong arrow. It's not great. Alright, let's rotate this around like that. Slide this into place over here. as you can see now, we're going to have to add in some stuff in here just to, or add in some width here just so that the buses can get through, even if there's a bus parked at a station. But if we do something like that, though, I think that is not bad. I think it works. And then we can actually, we'll have to bring the concrete out to here, which is no big deal. We'll have to bring the road in a little bit more, but I'm okay with that. Number one, I'm kind of curious though, what happens if I get rid of this? That's what I was afraid of. Alright, well, I think I can fix this. Because I really didn't want that bypass in there anymore. I think keeping them kind of separate like this, it actually works out pretty well. So I think we can do something like that. That kind of brings that road back together. I'll have to redo kind of the striping on here, which is okay. It's not a huge deal. Here's what I'm kind of more concerned about is trying to get this back to where it was. And this is going to be a big pain in the butt. That's what it's going to be. Let's just be real here. So let's see here. If I get it back to maybe 8. Can we do something like that? You know, widen this out more. So let's try. Can we get a little bit more path out of here? I might have to do a little bit of creative path work around here to get this to work properly. As in, I'm going to have to probably cover up those grass areas just a little bit, but that's okay. Can we bring this? Ooh, we can bring this in over here. I was kind of hoping to do a little bit. Because then, if I do this, I'll have to fill in these grass areas, which is not a huge deal. But I can do something like this then. Start widening this out a little bit more. You see, it's very, very slowly, but it is widening out. And all you have to do is just kind of keep going back and forth over some spots like this, and letting it kind of widen itself out. And eventually you can kind of walk it out until you really mess up like that. The game did not like it when I did that one. Unfortunately, that's kind of where I need that path to go, like where I need the widest point at. Dan, honestly, I don't think so, and the reason being is that, number one, if you ever play Planet Zoo, they actually redid their path system in there, and it's a lot nicer. So I don't think they'll ever do anything to this version of Planet. Oh, I was like, the game just logged up, and it did not. But oh boy, this does not like what I'm doing here. So no, I don't think they will ever change how to lay paths in this game. But I think, because I have a feeling this game was too popular not to make a sequel. So what I think what they're going to do is they're really kind of focusing on Planet Zoo right now. I think they've probably already started developing Planet Coaster 2, if I had to guess. And I got a feeling they will use a very similar engine to what they use for Planet Zoo and actually have that path system in there. So that's just my opinion on that. I really think that this will kind of stay like this until the end of time, unfortunately. Which kind of stinks, because I mean, this is a really good game, but the path system does make it a little bit finicky at best. So right now, I guess worst comes to worst, this bus driver here can just make a right or a hard left and leave this way, or we can just pave this too. But yeah, no, I unfortunately I don't think that'll ever be fixed in this game. But I think in Planet Coaster 2, I think they'll do a lot better job of it, especially if they use the Planet Zoo one. Which, by the way, if anybody else is wanting, I could also even switch and do a little bit of Planet Zoo for a little bit after we get this park done, just to kind of switch it up a little bit. If anybody else is kind of curious about that, I might do something like that. Maybe. The thing about zoos, though, is that I don't know. I don't have as good of a, or as big of a connection with zoos as I do amusement parks. So, zoos are very, very research oriented and things like that. So, I don't know. I don't plan on getting the console version. I prefer to play this on PC. So to me, I really honestly don't know if they'll do this for if they'll change the path system for console. If I have a feeling they probably will have to do something with that, just because I don't know. It's something that I've been trying to going back and forth on. They might do something a little bit different because the control scheme for the console has to be different. So I don't know. They might have done a little bit something special with that. To me, though, this is just me. I grew up around computers. I love computers. I work in IT and things like that. So to me, I don't know if I would ever switch over to console playing this game. There's a couple of games that I kind of prefer. So there's some racing games that are a little bit better on console than PC. It's nice because there's different things. The problem is with mine, like where I use Xbox. The Xbox I have is actually in like a family room, so there's people going in and out of there constantly, and so it's like, where I'm at right now, it's kind of a lower traffic. I'm in the basement right now, so it's a little bit nicer. It's a little bit more secluded. Not as many people come. I mean, every once in a while you'll have another family member come through, but usually, unless they're goofing off down here or doing something like that, they're not usually coming down here, especially during the day. So, kind of prefer being down here a little bit. I did actually have a GameCube at one point, actually hooked up down here, and played a few games on there. But nothing really else. I've got not much else that done like that. So, but I've also thought about streaming Xbox, see if I can get it through the PC, which I've heard recently, and I don't know how true this is, but with the next generation of consoles, you'll actually be able, or next kind of when they come out with the Xbox, whatever the next one is, I don't remember which one it is, but apparently you'll be able to buy Xbox games off the Microsoft Store and just play them on your PC, and that's amazing. Like, if I can play Halo on PC, I would love it. People might, or like, a bunch of my friends played Halo growing up. I never played Halo, but it seems like a great game, and I've actually played through the first one, and it was fun. The problem is, it's just getting the motivation to actually go upstairs and playing it on the console, playing it on console. But if I can play it on PC, it'd be awesome. I think Halo might already have something like that, but for other games like Grid, that's not Grid I'm thinking of. The South Park games are really good on console. I actually really enjoyed. That's the first game ever 1,000 pointed was the one of the South Park. I can't remember which one it was, but first game ever 1,000 pointed on Xbox achievements. Yeah, I'm pretty sure with Game Pass that's pretty much how they're doing it. But I'm pretty sure it might be a little bit different. I'm not sure. I'm gonna have to look into it because I really am interested in it. But we'll see. It might be something kind of fun. Really open up some more games for the stream here. Also, I thought about doing an Among Us stream just to have a little bit of fun there. Do some Among Us because apparently, that game's kind of just blown up in popularity. And I even played a little bit on vacation when I was just waiting either at an airport or whatever. Just flip on a game of Among Us real quick. And that might be kind of fun. You can do it with you guys if you guys are curious. Just throw up the room code and let the first 10 people join in, and then kick those 10 people out after the game. And yeah, it might be kind of fun just to play some Among Us. But I know that's it's a very, very popular game. So it's something usually if for some reason, because I do watch some YouTube channels on how to kind of develop a Twitch channel and things like that. And they say actually a lot of just avoid avoid these huge games everybody's playing, but I don't know, I think it might be kind of fun to try stuff like that. I tried iRacing. iRacing was really fun to do on here. Maybe it wasn't the best viewed one of all time, but still, I enjoyed it and I had some fun with it. So something we might try here soon. Do some Among Us on the channel. But I know some people are new here. And I know some people. From what I can read from the data that I can get from Twitch, there's a lot of people that are here that just don't chat. They like to listen. They like to watch. And guys, thank you. I do appreciate it. But if you are new here, let you a little bit know about me while I kind of finish up on the stations here. My name's Robbie, or Friar Obi, as people call me, or Friar Robbie. People have called me about 30 different things, but as long as I know you're talking to me, I'm okay with that. I've been streaming. This is my first stream back from when I took a 2-week vacation. But this is my first stream back. I do usually stream 2 times a week, every Tuesday and Thursday, from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And this is kind of how it is. We're kind of just a real chill stream, kind of small. But that's okay. Sometimes having a nice small stream, you can talk to everybody, you can really chat with me. You got questions for me, I'm more than happy to try to answer them as best as I can. I'm not usually, I'm not the best person sometimes to answer questions. But if you guys are wanting my opinion on something or something like that, go for it. I'm all for it. But I think this is kind of our new basic bus station completed, and I say basic. But it's quite a bus station. We went from 3 bus stations, and with really tiny shelters that held maybe 3 or 4 people, to 6 bus stations with stations that could really hold maybe 50 or 60 people, like non-coronavirus time, hold 50 or 60 people. And yeah, I think it looks really nice. I'm genuinely kind of proud of this. So let's go ahead and try to fill in this a little bit. Let's see if maybe this will help a little bit. It does. Maybe a little warm. I think the warm one looks a little bit better. For these smaller areas, I might be able to get away with that. The large area, though, it's a little bit more iffy at best. Also notice here when I move the bus, there's a huge place I missed here. Let's get rid of that. There we go. And there is that completed. We do need to do some striping over here, so we'll do that here in a moment. Also think I want to get rid of this patch. Oh, that's not what I wanted. I'm going to get rid of this patch here. Just get rid of these couple here, and we'll just fill in with concrete. It does look like tire marks, and, for these heavier buses, it very well could, they could have had a tire going flat or whatever, and they just kind of left that. Or a delivery driver was really trying to get into the park as quick as he could and kind of left those. Because this also is the delivery area. Because if you look here, I really showed off this area very much. This actually is the entrance to the park. This is kind of the parking area and everything like that. With accurate cone placement, because that's usually how they place cones if you ever look at security. But yeah, this is the buses and deliveries only section here. So enter here, and they actually turn off to the right. We actually do have a gulpy truck here delivering some drinks. And then this actually leads into the bus station area here, which, by the way, driving down this way, flying through this way, and actually taking a look at it, that actually looked pretty nice. And you know what? I might do a little bit of like a roadworks sign area here. Although bus station 6 might have a few issues trying to get into it, but I've noticed that it's kind of hovering a little bit. So let's fix up the concrete a little bit here, and then we'll move on to something else. It's stuff like this that I've noticed that a lot of Planet Coaster players won't spend too much time on. I mean, there's some that do huge parking lots and things like that, but they just kind of gloss over things like this. And this is kind of what makes a park look really nice. And there's some people that do. Johnny Sparrow did a really good bus station too, but it wasn't quite to this scale, but he did a really good one as well. But there we go. There is our bus stations, all 6 of them now. I think over here we're gonna have to do some sort of signage. Maybe if we can kind of concrete. Oh, holy cow! I've noticed my concrete work has gotten a little bit better over the years, or the year I've been doing this. I think if we can concrete this in, we can actually put the sign for the bus station on this pillar that holds up the bridge. And that works out pretty well, and they can walk down here through here. So what do we need to do now? Well, we want to do the little construction area over here. We want to do the crosswalk here so people can cross here, and our delivery trucks can still come through here. We also want to do maybe just some details, some trash cans, benches, lights back here would probably do well. And I probably want to do just a little wall the very back here, just to kind of set everything in here, just so that guests won't try to wander over here and fall off this hill, or even actually try to get into the ride here. So we'll probably have to put some sort of fencing along here as well. Guys, let me take a quick break and use the restroom really quick. It'll only be about 10 minutes or so, if that. I'll throw up the Be Right Back screen up. Oh, that's wrong one. That's the right button. So guys, I'll be right back. I will be, hopefully, it won't be about 10 minutes or so. If you guys need to use the restroom or take a break, this would be a great time to do so. I'll be back in about 10 minutes, and we'll do about the last hour or so of the stream. So I will see you then. Everybody, I am back. It took a little less time than I expected it to, which is good because it means we have more time then to actually build in the park. So here's what we want to work on next. I believe there actually is some rubble pieces we can actually don around here. RUBB. Maybe not called rubble. Ooh, that was okay. That was a lot of lemonade in that one. All right, well, I'm awake now. I don't know if anybody else is, but I sure am. So let's darken these pieces up just a little bit. These probably, over time, pavement kind of fades a little bit. So we can do something like this. And kind of make it look like there was maybe some maybe originally this was actually like a cobblestone area, and over time just kind of got the pavement kind of broke up over top of it, and it's kind of starting to pile up a little bit. So in that case, what I want to do actually, come here to actually the rock here. Let's make it as intense. But I do want to kind of cover to make it look kind of like maybe some of this has kind of been chipped up a little bit on the edges here. And then I think that looks pretty good. So it looks like, yeah, there might be some work that needs to be done. Then we need to go over here and get some road barriers because, that seems like what we need. A road barrier. Something like this, I'm pretty sure we can use pretty easily. And I'm going to actually pull this out just a little bit. Like that. Kind of rotate it in just a little bit more. Like that. And probably need to get rid of this one. And something like that. That looks a little bit better. What we can actually use, because I have this truck up here that I had a plan for it originally. But as time went on, the plan kind of fell apart, and I didn't really like it as well. So, you pull this truck over here as one of our maintenance trucks, and kind of back it into here. We need to move that last barrier over just a little bit more here. Might be a bit of a tight squeeze for the buses at the moment, but that is okay. Maybe we can say that maybe there actually was a planter here, and that after enough buses hit it, there's like, all right, we're gonna tear out the planter and we're just gonna pave all over this, or pave this over. That might be what happened. I always like coming up with stories like that for little things like this in the park. Because there are stories like that. You're like, oh yeah, this was a great idea like 20 years ago. But now the buses are maybe a little bit longer, or maybe they just don't turn as well, or what have you, and they needed somewhere to put all this. So it makes kind of sense. So in that case, let's get some Theme Maker's Toolkit out here, and let's put some stuff in the back of the truck that they might be using to work on the road here itself. Let's see here. What could they be using? You know what? How big are these? Hold on. That ooh, that's a little larger than I would expect there. Let's see here. Align to surface, please. You see what I'm getting at, though? Maybe this might be a little too large for this. Let's see here, though. Game decided to save right as I placed that. Alright, well. No, I'm a little all over the place right now, but sometimes that happens. Something like that would be kind of neat, but I think that's too big. If we can find another ceiling fan, that might be a neat idea to put some of those in there. I know we have some of those rod cue fans that would work too, but I think I'm okay with that for now. You need to put some trash cans down. This is just a generic trash can. It's kind of nice. You know what? I will put them over here just so that I remember to use them. But you know what? Let's go ahead and just put them down. I know all over the place. I'm terrible at it right now, but put it a little askew here. Rotate those to there. Put one there. Little askew. Put it there. And the last one right there. Looks pretty good to me. Let's see. Now, let's get back to our actual construction project here. Also, kind of curious what this is. How big this is. Oh, it's a fairly large piece of aircraft debris. Alright, well. And for some reason, it's turned inside out. Don't know why it's doing that. Alright, well, that's a bit odd. I know I downloaded a couple of things like that because I have an idea for a ride that's coming up a little later. But I'm trying to get some materials now for it so that when we do decide to actually do that ride, we actually are ready to do so. Like, we have the materials for it, I should say. I can honestly say there's like nothing in here that I would use for like road construction or anything like that, which is odd because you know what, we can probably put a step ladder in there. Step ladder would probably, while it might not be used for road construction, you know, they would probably have some ladder, or they have some ladders, you know, just kind of hanging around. Something like that. You know what? That's actually not a bad little piece. Let's try this. Hold on. Let's see if we can do a little bit of trickery here. Because here is a little lesson in trickery. That's Robbie Rotten right there. Not me. Different Rob. But I wonder if we could do something like that and make it look like old pavement underneath the road. Which we could. The only problem with this is that the terrain actually comes up here, and for some reason it's even with the road here, which kind of drives me a little crazy. But it does happen. So what I'm thinking we could do is maybe come back through here, and with these, rotate them up just slightly, and pull them up just a little bit so they kind of match up with the road there, and make it look like they've kind of buckled under for some reason. I mean, abuse from, you know, years and years of wear and tear, and that would do it. So. Something like that. I think that works. And it looks like they've already torn up this section, but they're still working on this section. I think that actually works out pretty well. We don't want to do it the same way twice. So let's rotate this around like so. We'll give it a little bit of a tilt this way. Slide these over to there. Pull this one up a little bit more. Move the whole panel over here. Something like this, and then we can, oh, come on. Game's starting to not like me for some reason today. That's not ideal. Let's rotate this up to there. Rotate it down a little bit as well. Yeah, something like that. It's not supposed to look good. As a matter of fact, it doesn't. But that's kind of the whole point. You want it to make it look like this is not great. Like some section is, and the other section it's not. Like it's been broken up. So I kind of like how that looks. So there is that. I think that's good enough for now. I think we'll have to, you know, we might, if we find some other stuff, we can maybe put that over there. And I hit escape one too many times here. I think now we can start working on our wall for the kind of the back part here. And I think that will also help set off with some, when we get done, we can put benches along here and make it look a little bit nicer too. We can put our lights in the wall so that we don't have to stick them in the middle of the path. I think that's going to be kind of the best idea. So let's see if I can get some stone in here. So what kind of stone we can get at least. This might work actually, because I wanted to do something like actually if I rotate this, let me turn that back on, rotate this up like this. So technically it's upside down right now. Pull that over to there. We'll slide it actually to where I want to start the wall. Slide it down to there. It's a pretty good little foundation for a wall, and let's just, you know, continue on. So we'll build this section of wall first, kind of as our mock-up, and we'll kind of can work from there. So now that we have this, I do want to do like maybe a brick, get some little bit of color in here, a little bit of texturing as well, and that'll help quite a bit. Probably, I think we're gonna have to go with the brick, this kind of bricks. I don't know what they call it, but this kind of brick piece here, I guess. I do want to cap off the ends a little bit differently. Let me actually bring this up a little bit more. Probably some right there. Now I need to do something for the end caps here, and I'll show you what I mean here in just a moment. Can I do a window in here? Maybe not. My window might not work as well. Let's kind of scroll through here though. This is kind of how I get some ideas. So I'll come through here and I'm like, all right, will this work? It's a little too big. Will it work like on its side or anything? Not really. It's a box light. That probably won't help me right this second here. However, this very well might. And it's the same stuff that we were using earlier. It's this brownstone stuff. So what I want to do actually is to come in here, slide this up to about, maybe there. That might work out pretty well. We'll rotate this 180 degrees, or sorry, 90 degrees. It's a little bit different piece here. Put that on the end here. And then we'll move our brick. It's not in a group. That's probably why. Add that to a group. Edit it. Now let's go ahead and grab all the bricks. Duplicate them. Slide this up to there. I need to move these up just a little bit more here. I think something like that's not a bad start. Although, the issue I'm having is that I don't like how those bricks are laid. So let me see if there's maybe a different way, different idea we can do. But unfortunately, a lot of the bricks on here are actually a part of buildings. What is this piece here? It's intriguing what that is. Let's see here. What would happen if I just put a wall like that? Don't really like it, to be honest with you. Is it going to work here? Let's look in theme makers, because I have downloaded a couple of wall pieces and things like that over here. Just to kind of see what I can get. Maybe there's something in here that will like it a bit better than brick. I don't know. We'll see. Cobblestone. These are ground tiles, but that's the same stone slab we were using earlier. But why couldn't we? Hold on. Let's try it out. You know, there's no harm in trying. If we did something like that. Problem is, I don't know if that would really, if we alternated it back, like if we just like a flat wall like that, I don't think that's going to look great. But let's try the cobblestone ground tile here. The other one I'm keeping painted. Or rotated in the right way I needed it. So never mind about that. Game saving once again. Come on, game. I don't know about the marble. So let's not do that one. I don't think I can rotate this one the way I want it. Yeah, I can't do it that one, unfortunately. I know this is like especially corrugated roofing, but what if we did something like that? Slide that over to here. Paint this like a gray color. And it's not the best in the world, but let's another piece of the plane I was talking about earlier, looking at earlier, it was not the best piece, I'll be honest with you. We might be able to do something with that though later. Let's see what this is. Could we do something with this? Yeah, see, that looks a little too rustic for what I'm going for here. That's a bit much. Alright, hold on. Let's see if there's anything else along here. What is the... now hold on here. These little small stones might actually be what I'm looking for. It's a little bit like of a modern stonework kind of thing. But I think... do something like this. We do 1. That's 2 meters there. And then we do 4. And then we actually put in some sort of divider in here. We gotta figure out something that can go in there. What could go in there that might... Essentially, I just want to break it up, so I don't want to have huge rods of stone like this. I kind of want to break it up just a little bit, so that we can also put lanterns and stuff like that in here. Do something like this, though. Hold on. And then duplicate this. Delete that. X. I think that might work. It's kind of combining both end pieces into one piece. And we'll kind of duplicate all this down. And there we go. I think that's a pretty good wall. I think that's what we're kind of going for. Kind of the aesthetic I was going to going for. A little more modern, maybe a little bit. Like, it was more of a recent construction rather than an old one. Height, good height there. I quite like that. We can easily put, let me double check here, but I'm pretty sure we could easily put lanterns on top of here. Or not lanterns, lights of any sort, really. Thought about doing these square ones, these match the ones that are in the park. Shrink them down to about that. Maybe something like that might be a pretty neat neat wall feature there. I think that might be what we go for. Do we go with the Victorian style lamp? The base won't work for that. What about something like this, though? You know what? Let's go with the ones that actually match the one in the park. Let's actually rotate this 90 degrees. There we go. I think that's actually a pretty good start on this wall. So let's go ahead and duplicate all this, except for that end cap, for a reason. And then we'll go ahead and rotate this back to kind of square with the concrete here. And then we can kind of slide this like that into there. Then we can just duplicate this wall on down like this. I think that's going to create a pretty well formed kind of back wall for our bus station here. This one we'll have to do it'll be a little more creative with it because it does end in the road here. So let's go ahead and just copy this out. I don't think it's going to be a huge difference that if we just carried on. I don't think it's too long or too. Ooh, it's not going to work there. Do need to rotate that. There we go. I don't think it's going to be too big of a difference. I think it's a little bit longer than a normal section. But I don't think it's going to really make too big of a difference that you wouldn't notice it. It's one of those things where since you're seeing it next to a bunch of other ones that are very similar to it, your eye kind of tricks you into thinking, okay, it's just the same size, when it could just be a little bit bigger, a little bit smaller. There we go. Now if we look back along here, I think that looks pretty good. It's got a nice finished feel to it, and yeah, I think that's gonna help keep people into the bus station. I mean, we're going to put a fence up anyways. I don't want to have anybody jumping into Splinter, which is not great for either people riding the ride or the person jumping into the ride. So, actually, it looks really nice from the back too. I quite like how it's turned out. So let's go ahead and kind of finish up this section a little bit. We'll kind of get an idea of where we want to put benches and things like that. I think we can put benches in here, hopefully. If not, I bet you I can find some benches that I can place just freely. Let's see here. Probably something like this. Yeah, I think they have to be placed on paths here. So let me see if there's any in Theme Maker's Toolkit real quick that I've already downloaded. Does not look like it. Let me pop out to the workshop really super quick here and see if there's maybe I can just, like a wood bench I can download really super quick. That'll work. If not, oh well, not too upset about it. We'll figure out something else. And to be honest with you, there's not really much out here. Alright, well. Let's try this. I don't know how well this will work, but if not, we got some more pieces to work with later. There we go. Back in the game here. Hopefully it's loaded those new pieces in here. Sometimes it takes it a minute, but it will eventually download everything. It's kind of neat how that game kind of works. And I think the game's frozen right now. That's not good. It's probably downloading all that stuff. Maybe not. We might have to go over here to do another tab and come back into that one. Aha, there we go. So I found a couple different benches. I kind of lay them out here. See which one's the best. Which one I think will work better for this area. So we got this modern bench. We can actually recolor that. So we'll throw that there. Don't know what these are. Ah, they're just bench pieces, like trim pieces. Right. So that's probably not going to work. And that's an interesting bench in and of itself, but that would make a really good fountain eventually. So I've downloaded one bench. Alright, so we'll make this maybe a nice gray color. Put them up along here. Go put it there. And then we'll duplicate it. I said duplicate it. Put it there. And I realize they're not very great on the back, but, you know, probably wouldn't be something I would be too concerned about right this second here. There and there. Place 4 more. There. 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 And probably over here, actually. Probably the better one to do that one on. And put 4 more down. 1. You know what, we're going to do 3 here, just to make it kind of look like maybe one got broken or had some issues with it, so I think we do probably, actually, you know what, let's do 4, because it looked kind of odd without that 4th one there. Matter of fact, actually, let's do this. Let's actually move this one. Yeah, see, I thought, you know, randomly placing it like that would be a little bit better, but as I kind of got to look at it, it didn't look as good as I thought it would be. So let's go ahead and place all 4 of these down like so. That looks really nice. I'm really kind of happy how this bus station turned out, because I didn't know how it was going to turn out until I got to this point, and I really like how it's looking so far. Let's also put a few more trash cans kind of in between areas like this, just so that when people are walking by, they can just throw trash in here. And that looks pretty good. Quite happy about it. It's a very Disney-esque themed bus station. Well, like a Disney kind of level of bus station, but you know what? That's okay. I'm kind of in a really big Disney mood lately, so I'm okay with it. Stretch out a little bit more while I contemplate what we're going to do. We're actually going to work on the crosswalk next, so I'm going to grab a couple pieces from here. Copy this. Rotate this. Essentially, I'm going to make almost a box first. Kind of where I kind of want to keep the people in a certain area. I don't want them to like cross that entire section. I want to have just a little section and might put a little fence around the other sections so that they only walk in certain areas. We'll duplicate this. We'll scroll it down to probably about there. And I might even actually, take these lines up here and actually add some of these walls in over here, just so that you can kind of see, yes, I don't want you to come across this way. I think that works. I think that would work. We've got to figure out how I want to do this next. The next thing I want to do, I actually want to put the crosswalk lines in, so the thicker lines that you would walk across. And for that, I'm going to need some of pieces from here. They move a little smaller than that one. I think that'll work out pretty good here. I do know that these are a little bit elevated right this second. I can fix that later. Problem is with something like this, though, is that where I have the crosswalk, it's kind of on a hill. I can try to fix it. Let me see if I can real quick. If not, oh well. But so I can maybe fix this and make it look a little bit nicer. And you can see here that it's just kind of a product of me not paying attention when I originally built this park, or kind of made the map for the park. But oh well, that's okay. We can kind of live with this. From what little we're going to probably be over here, I think we'll be okay with it. One more. Is only really only fit 3 stripes in here. It seems kind of small, but slide this over to there. Slide that over to here. Kind of space things out a little bit more, just so that get a little more of an idea of where I want to put this at. That looks pretty good. Maybe I need to make it a little tighter. Hold on here. I think it looks a little better, and it does look a little out of the ordinary, so people might pay attention more. And it's a might, they may not, but that's fair. All right, so there is that completed. Pretty simple. I really didn't expect that to take too long. So let's go ahead and start back on the wall section here. I don't need that one there. And we'll continue this on down this way. Like that. Slide those over to there. And once again, I think we'll have to do a little bit of creative work on this one here, just so that it's not a full one, I guess you can say. So there is that one done. And we'll get one of the poles over this way. Now we get the hard part, is going around the circle here, which honestly we kind of smoothed out quite a bit, so hopefully it won't be too awful bad. But we'll see here in a second. So you know what, let's go ahead and just grab all of this except for that end piece there. And we can go ahead. Oh, you can't do that. Hold on, time out. Can't do that one because get that last end bit there that technically is not as big as the other ones are, so it would make it look a little lopsided or a little odd going through there. Glad I caught that before I started making the rest of this. I would have been mad at myself if I didn't, or if I did. Let's do that. Let's get rid of this one. X. Slide this into place here. Delete that one. Ooh, that's a bit off. All right, let's go ahead and fix that really quick here. X. So it's not quite 15, so we'll have to adjust accordingly. We'll do one section on this one. Come on, duplicate. There we go. Yeah, I get rid of the post in there. That's a big deal. Like that. All right, now this one, I think I'm gonna have to do a little bit of train work, just kind of clean up this edge here. Sculpting, flatten the foundation. Turn up the intensity so we're not here the rest of the day. So there is kind of the edge of where I was looking for. Alright, I think I can kind of clean that up a little bit with the brownstone anyways, so not a huge deal. Rotate this. Slide this over to here. Trying to get this lined up a little bit better. Don't look too bad. I'll have to maybe fix a little bit out here, but I think I can live with that for right this second. Well, that didn't work out as well as I thought it would. Slide that over to here, actually. I'll have to fix the brownstone underneath there in just a moment, but that's we can live with that one for right this second. And then we'll go ahead and just duplicate the rest of this over. Don't want all that. Across to here. And we'll start rotating this in just a tiny bit. And I think the last, well, that didn't work. The last piece should be going in right here. Only one more end cap here. Right there. I'm going to go back through here and fix the base of it real quick here. Shouldn't take but a moment. There's that one. I actually slide that one out to there. A little bit less than that. There's one more over here. Well, there might be a couple of them we need to fix, but let's see what we got here. That looks good. Yeah, and there, oh, we got one here. There's at least the wall done, and we can come back through here and rotate this to the bottom of the, hold on, let's look over here. Bottom of that second ring. It's right there. And then we need to move, next one's going to be to, okay, please, thank you. To there. Slide that down to there. I should probably just duplicate this one across like this. It's a little bit off, but that is okay. I'll do something like that. And then we got one more we need to put up, looks like. Like so. Alright, there is kind of our, well, okay, kind of, that is our bus station, kind of our wall done for our bus station. I think it looks pretty nice. Look, the turn's a little bit janky, but I kind of expected it to be because, you know, kind of building the wall, it's a little harder. I mean, I guess we could have gone through, the base would have been a little bit harder to do, but with a 1 meter section, we could really just turn it as much or as little as we wanted to, and actually get that kind of smooth line all the way around. But you know what? I'm okay with this. It kind of does follow it pretty well. And so far, I think our bus station has turned out pretty nicely. We do need to add some more benches into the next section here. Go ahead and duplicate this. We'll leave that one blank just because I want to leave a little more room so people can get across here. Let's go ahead and duplicate this down. 3 and 4. Then we'll go ahead and move this bench down to there. Alright, there we go. Duplicate this across like so. And then do one more over here. One, 2, 3. Add some trash cans in here. Where is the trash cans? There's the trash cans. One in here. One. Oh, we'll do one on either end here. So we'll do one there and one over here. And there we go. I think that's kind of the trash cans and benches done for this area. I'm kind of curious though, what is this? I gotta plug my headset in real quick. I'm wondering what this place would look like at night. You know, with all the lights in there. I don't know if it'll, you know, be perfect, but let's see how it looks. It's not bad. It's a little dark in some areas, but we can probably work on that. But yeah, I think that looks pretty nice. I think the bus stations are very well lit. Are pretty, you know, they have the light. The shelters are. The path could probably use a little bit more, but unfortunately with Planet Coaster, the lights don't really give off very much light themselves. It's kind of a cheaty way you can kind of do it. That kind of makes it a little bit easier. So, I think, guys, that we pretty much got what we wanted done. We're going to add a few little smaller stuff in here, but I think for today, that's kind of our major stuff done. Wanted to add the concrete little pad here. So I am going to look into seeing what I need to do, actually making a sign for here to tell you what bus goes where, and what bus station the bus is currently at. Probably won't do anything with this because I kind of like how that looks. It does look kind of like a skid mark, which I kind of think is hilarious. But I do want to paint this little tip here. With the line work, though, I probably will do that either off camera or off stream, something like that, because it can be a little bit frustrating sometimes. So that I'll probably do off stream so that you don't have to worry about me trying to figure out what line to use and all that. So I want to delete that line there because it's kind of bugging me. But yeah, I think this, just gonna, if we do a nice, edge line here and turn it to the left, and we'll have to open up this line here so that kind of like this. Essentially, I'm going to shift this down to there. That'll be our new exit for our bus station. I might put some sort of barrier on this side. Don't quite know what I'm going to do yet. Just because it's kind of want to keep the passenger traffic from like our gas stuff like that separate from our buses as much as I can in this area, and that's why I kind of built this separate area for our buses. I think it's actually working. I think. By the way, if you're new here, there's always one sentence I always mess up somewhere, and that was it right there for me. So I really honestly, I think, I really want to, I was trying to keep passenger traffic separate. I don't know if I want to put a wall there. There's some places I saw at Disney where they did that, where they actually had a physical barrier there. Other times it was just like lines that you couldn't cross, or lines like you couldn't cross. They essentially was just markings on the ground that says bus only. So I don't know. We'll see, because this grass area right in the middle, it's kind of an odd, this odd piece of land there. So I'm trying to figure out maybe something to do with that. I might try to clean it up a little bit more, make this area. Might do something in here. Maybe even put maybe see. I was thinking maybe like a taxi rank, but I don't think, unless I did it on this side. But trying to get people from here over to here might be a big pain. And it's possible we just let them drop off in one of the bus stations and let them operate out of one of them, which I guess could make some sense. And it's not too awful bad. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. We're running short time. We got about 20 minutes left, and unfortunately, I'm kind of out of ideas. My head's starting to hurt a little bit. For some reason, it's wanting to hurt for pretty much off and on this whole stream. But I think I got done today what I wanted to do, and it didn't take as long as I thought it would. I thought this might be a two-parter, but no, actually this went together a lot faster than I thought it would. So if you guys were not here for the entire stream, we pretty much actually ripped up this entire bus station and redid it. Originally, the original bus station actually only encompassed essentially this part here. It was actually just 3 bus stations, nothing special. There was 2 or 3 shelters and a couple of signs. That was pretty much it. But this is actually kind of my idea to actually help revitalize or redo the entrance to this place. So I want to tell you, maybe I can tell you the plans I have for right now. So part 1, I kind of want to redo this. I wanted to redo this area first. I kind of felt that I neglected this area when I first built this because I was more focused on the path over from the bus station and all this, or the path from the parking lot, and the parking lot itself. And I kind of neglected the bus station a little bit. And so I wanted to redo this a little bit, and I think this is a very good start of this. And I think once we get the lines in, like the road markings in here, and we kind of figure out what we want to do with this grass area here, I think it'll look a lot nicer then. But in the next upcoming streams, I actually kind of want to work on this area pretty much from here to the main gate. And so we can kind of fly through here. I'll show you what I mean. So you can see here, we get into the main gate. The main gate itself is kind of bland. And I designed that originally. I was not a huge fan of it then, and I'm not still a huge fan of it now. So essentially what I want to do is rip off the top layer here and rip off the facade up front and redo it. Now you can see here I got some trees here. This is actually, section is going to be, I'm going to actually make an extension of this building. So the building itself will actually come out a little bit more, and then across here. And across here is going to be tickets. So if you need to actually buy tickets, there'll be a will call office, our season pass processing, and our lost and found is going to be there. So all this will be in here. I don't think it's going to be too massive. Probably be 2 ticket windows, a will call, and then I don't know, I might not put lost and found. I might just say it's in the building over here, because if you look over here, we actually have some information kiosk. So we might say that's lost and found or whatever. But it's a will call, 2 ticketing windows, and then a little small area here for season pass processing. I think that'll work out the best once you get rid of probably these trees and bushes here. And then redo the front gate here. Also kind of want to redo this employee entrance over here. It's a little tiny for employees. I mean, this is the main employee entrance, but I also want to work on this area as well. We haven't really done much with it, because essentially we have a food service warehouse that I thought of, and then we have an admin building, and that's about it. We need some more warehouses, because I mean, warehousing is a huge thing. Merchandise, electronics, ride components, vehicles, anything in the park we have to have stored somewhere. So we'll probably have some sort of another warehouse for general merchandise and items like that. So it'll be quite a bit bigger than this one. We'll also need some sort of ride shop to work on rides and vehicles. That's usually one shop, at least one of the ones I used to work at. And then we'll need some sort of carpentry, paint shop. We'll need some HVAC. So HVAC is your repairman for heating, cooling, air conditioning, and ventilation. Especially in food service, is very common. We could also use a landscaping one that actually have some greenhouses somewhere dotted around here. That might be kind of fun to build as well. So we got to think about what we want to, excuse me, I'm falling apart here on you. But yeah, that's kind of the idea I wanted to do. That's kind of what I wanted to restart. I'm still thinking about, so if you were here with this past couple of streams, we actually been working in this area. This is the 90 section of the park. I've kind of stalled out on this whole idea here. I kind of like the idea of putting up little booths in here to sell different kinds of food, kind of like the Food and Wine Festival, if you've ever been to Epcot, kind of idea, but kind of stalling out on this area because it's like I don't know what I want to do. But this is what we've been kind of doing. If you haven't been here before, this is kind of the whole park, and this is kind of what we've been working on the past couple of streams. And if you look over here, this is the lake monster. This is actually kind of a fun little thing that we did on stream. And if you're curious about watching any of the past streams, I actually when I started streaming Planet Coaster, I had just built this section. So I built Shockwave, I built Discus, and I built the Dodgers, but I had no theming or no plans or anything in here. So the first thing we actually work on is actually this restaurant right here. So if you guys are actually curious and you actually want to watch those videos, if you actually look below the stream here, there's a link to my YouTube channel. All my streams are on there. You can go through there. I tell stories about when I used to work for Cedar Fair, different amusement parks I visited, why I do certain things. And it's a really fun thing to do. Really fun. If you want to throw it on in the background, it'd be great. I think people have been really enjoying this series. I want to continue it for a little while, but I think going back on some other parts that I didn't really touch on in the streams and actually going back and redoing them, I think that's going to be what we're going to be doing in the next couple of weeks to come. The entrance, I might do a little bit on the boardwalk as well, but I really want to focus on that entrance. But I've been kind of looking back through here, and it looks. I love how this part of the park looks. I did this all on stream, so if you guys want to watch how all this came to be, you're more than welcome to watch this. And this is neat. Okay, a little choked up a little bit there, looking through all this. See the restaurant back areas here, and walking down through here. This is Thunder Falls. I didn't mention that earlier. This is our river rafting ride, which is that was a really neat build too. Also a nice backstage area back here as well. And then we got some more backstage area here in the employee cafeteria, if you're curious. Let me get back to the 90 section here, guys. But I think I'm going to wrap up a little bit early. My throat's starting to go out a little bit, and so I think it's time to wrap up, at least for this. Oop, that's the Be Right Back screen. I'm going to go to this screen, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, guys. I really do appreciate it. If you guys are new here, if you guys want to help support me, the only thing I'm really looking for right now is just followers. With the new one we got today, I think we're up to 45, so we need 5 more. I don't know how in the world we've gotten that close already. But we just need 5 more to get to that 50 goal that we're working towards. I think we can get that before December. If I've done my math right, I think we've got 9 streams left of the year. I think so, something like that. So I think we can get 5 more followers in 9 streams. That's a good goal. And then, you know, if you guys are curious, what I've got some plans for the 50 follower celebration. I want to do a special fireworks display. I've never done fireworks in Planet Coaster, but I think showing how to do that on stream, I think it'd be kind of neat to see that. I wanted to make some custom music for it, or get some custom make a custom soundtrack from like other theme park fireworks shows. I want to give you guys a name for the followers, so I will hopefully figure out one by then and give it to you guys, so you guys can, you know, I call you my, instead of calling you my followers, I'll call you my whatever. We'll figure that out here soon too. If you guys want to, you can also check out my YouTube channel. I did mention that a little bit earlier. It's a great place if you want to catch up or see what other games I've played too. I've played everything from Roller Coaster Tycoon, Planet Coaster, to BattleTech. Done a little bit of iRacing, done Colonization, some old games, new games. I just like playing games. So it doesn't really matter what the game is. I'll at least give it a shot. But for now, guys, I think that's going to be it for me. If you guys are looking for the next stream is going to be Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to be back playing Factorio. I don't remember where we left off. It's been a couple of weeks, but I'll have to jump in there and see where we're at and continue from there. But guys, that's it for me, guys. Thank you for coming today. I hope you guys have a great Wednesday. A great Thursday as well. I'll see you on Friday at 1 p.m. for some more Factorio. But until then, guys, stay safe out there, have fun, and I will see you on Friday.